Episode 11 has begun.
I thought we were having new music for Series 2. Season 2.
Oh, I've done away with Season 2. I was thinking about it. I thought, well, I haven't labelled Season 1 on any of the episodes. So if we go with Season 2, Episode 1, it ain't going to look right. And I was thinking, well, the very minute people that actually listen to us are just going to tune off, switch off, and start slashing their wrists. So there's no point. I'm just going to go with Episode 11, and I'll just introduce gradual changes to the music, maybe the old snare.
Just liven it up.
Anyway, so welcome to the show, because your favourite presenter here, as usual, hashtag mega white thing. I'm joined by my, of course, grossly obese co-presenter, hashtag, are there any seconds?
Well, good thing is, I haven't even discussed it. Well, I haven't discussed the check with you for tonight. You know about the main course, but the rest of it is my own working. So
I've forgotten the main course already.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Well, because I put a thing on social media, because you're crap at it. So now I've got access to it. I'm going to put things on it. And so Elaine wanted us to discuss vegans. So we'll have them for our main course. But we've got car tyres for the amuse-bouche. And then we're going to do references for a starter, then the vegans, and then I thought we could go skip the dessert and have a cheese.
Oh,
that is season 2, but
ice this up for the non-season 2.
You a bit of quince membrillo with the cheese, so that's the plan. We'll try it and see what happens.
All right, let's print a ticket.
Go for it. Car tyres.
Right, I think 2 of mine are bold.
It's not necessarily you're thinking food related, but so obviously aside from the beautiful family that I have, cooking, music, cars, that's my sphere of interest. And I saw an article.
Do they call that raison d'etre? No. Raison d'etre. Oh, don't do this to me, Darren.
Is this a Renault Valsatis?
This is my raison d'etre. I'm sure that's what they call it.
Raison d'etre.
Your thing. Your no?
I don't know what you're on about.
This is my raison d'etre. Resin d'etre.
You've made it up.
I haven't made that up. I've heard
Google it in a minute. So
I'll Google that.
Google that.
My raison d'etre. I don't know. I give up. That's your thing. All right, fine. I probably got the meaning completely wrong as well, but I'm just going to create that.
I've never heard of raison d'etre. I think you've just designed the whole word.
I'll get on Google on that in a second. Then.
Anyway, so I saw a thing the other day, which is that the world's largest the largest manufacturer of car tyres in the world, as in the company that makes the most car tyres in the world, is now making them out of used fishing nets and old rope and engine oil. And I thought, well, that's interesting, isn't it? You know, the fact that it's good, sustainable, recycling, whatever. But obviously, it's on the tip of your lips. You're thinking, but Darren, who makes the most tyres in all the world?
I could think of 1,000 other things I'd rather think about, but go on then.
Having a guess? Who makes the most car tyres? Which company makes the most car tyres in the world?
Michelin.
No.
That's the only one I know. Hang on.
Yep.
No, that's the only one I know.
Oh. Lego.
Lego make car tyres?
Yeah, for the little Lego cars.
Oh, yeah.
No. So anyway, they make more car tyres as in individual tyres than anybody else in the world. And they're now using leftover fishing waste, ropes and fishing nets and old engine oil to make a new compound instead of plastic. Because I think you'd probably have issues if you stuck them on your van and went driving around the corners with them. But for a Lego tyre, perfectly fine. So it's good because fishing. That is a problem with fishing, is the leftover tackle that, you got your bean trawls and stuff that tear everything up, but also you got your waste from fishing nets, etc., and engine oil was, used to feed to cattle, now that was outlawed, then they're making it into biodiesel, but now Lego are making it into car tyres, so...
I just want to make a quick disclaimer. Any police officers listening to me, can you just give me 3 days before you come after me and let me get my tyres done, and then pull me over?
I got a spare set of alloys in my house. I could chuck them on if you want.
Alloys? I don't look like chav.
Sorry, you've got alloys on your van already, haven't you?
However?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't look.
No. So that was the amusing thing. The fact that the biggest car manufacturer in the world, biggest tire manufacturer in the world is Lego, and they are sustainably recycling stuff that's mainly from the catering industry. So it's a tedious link, but it is a link.
Fair enough.
And it amused me. I liked it.
I wasn't expecting to say Lego.
No.
All right, I can delete that from my mind immediately.
I've lost my beer. Oh, here it is, over here. The beer, though, interestingly, a little plug here for older JC. We're drinking Jeremy Clarkson's Hawkstone. Never tried it before.
Nice.
Having it this evening. Hawkstone Session. It's quite nice.
Yeah. I've got a taste for it now. At first, it's weird.
Well, because it actually has some flavour. It doesn't taste like piss.
Oh, yeah, that would be the... No, I don't drink Budweiser.
Oh.
And that's...
Carling.
Yeah.
Carling have got a new beer, haven't they? Yeah, they've got some... I can't remember what it is. My brother was telling me about it. It's some new brand of beer, which is made by Carling, but they've rebranded it with some new brand, and it's even cheaper than Carling, and probably even worse. But they've rebranded it to make it sound nice, but it isn't, obviously. There we go. Anyway, so next course, starter. So start this week, references, because you probably never have this issue, but I get it a lot. I get asked for references a lot.
Okay, I take that as a personal insult, by the way.
Good. Only because I've held a lot of senior positions in kitchens.
Fair enough.
Only today, Alice said to me, you've currently got 3 references you need to do, and it's like I get given references quite often, and you don't. I suppose it's that you don't realise the importance of, like, when you're in a job and you're doing the job, and it's like it is what it is. That one of the things you're actually working towards is your reference, because especially in this game, especially in Cornwall, everyone knows everyone knows everything, everyone knows every kitchen. Like I get asked for references in the traditional term that somebody from a recruitment company sends me an email and says, this person wants to be a chef, what do they like? Yeah, fine. I get ones that are like, this person wants to rent a flat off us, but they've put you down as a referee and you used to employ them, and are they reliable and do they turn up, whatever. I also get them from people who know me in the industry that will just be like, I've had this guy approach me or this woman approach me and they're looking for a job. And they're interested. I've had some that have been quite, there was one probably about a year ago now, the company got in contact with me and said, look, the chef's approached us for a job. What do you think? And it was a very lengthy response I gave. It was, I might as well have been a counsellor with a full psych evaluation. I was like, right, there's a lot I can say about this person. I said, like, got all the ability, whatever, but to manage a real handful of a person to manage, if you've got, and I told them what level of manager they would need, what level of stress ability you need to have to be able to employ this person. You can get the best out of them, great, you'll do really well, but to try and employ this person, be prepared for absolute chaos and all sorts of things that go around with it. And then I said, obviously I can deal with a certain level of arsehole. As you know, you employ another friend of mine who I trained from a young age. So if I can put up with him, I can put up with most things. And they actually sent a mess back, and thanks, that's the most comprehensive reference we've ever had. It was like really, as it said, well, yeah, this person can cook, but then you're going to have to go with everything else that goes along with it. There's Josie, my favourite South African, obviously. The amount of reference requests you get for her. I've applied for another job. Yes, can you just she's got one now, it's fine. But like she applies for things like a live-in nanny kind of thing. So it's like, well, you need to be a chef, plus you need to be good with kids and all the rest of it. And so, but it's interesting how people, you were saying earlier about somebody that follows the CheckON podcast, and you said, I don't know who this person is, Lucian Toda.
Shout out to Lucian Toda.
Luci. He's my Romanian friend who, I mean, he worked for me. When did I move back to Cornwall? I moved back to Cornwall 16 years ago. So he worked for me 17 years ago. And I got a reference request from him a month ago, 6 weeks ago. I was like, it doesn't probably look great on your CV if you put in, oh, this guy employed me 17 years ago and he thought I was good. Well, you scraped the barrel there, and you know. But the fact that you're actually, because when I was younger, like, used to get a written reference. Like when I left the Nair, for example, I've still got it somewhere. I got a very nicely written reference from Malcolm Sparks, the head chef, saying lots of nice things about it, sort of thing. Whereas obviously now that doesn't really happen.
No.
But you still need to work towards it, don't you? So when you're in a job, you've got to butter up the right person so that when you leave,
you've got a contact.
Well, if you go for a new job and they say, "Oh, can you give me a reference?" and you give them a reference from like 16 years ago, it's probably going to raise more questions than you might as well not bother at that point, did you? But because I applied for something, which I don't know if I told you about. I applied for something last week, or week before, and it asked me for 2 references, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I was thinking, who do I put down as references? Like, it was exactly. They need to be reputable people, yeah. So, for some reason, I put down Anthony Matthews as one of them.
Anthony Matthews?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm not bleeping anymore. To hell with them all.
Yeah, fine.
I'll just bleep the hotels and the restaurant names if we accidentally blurb them out. But people, to hell with it. And we've done away with Dave from whoever on emails. We'll just, unless you don't want us to say your name, we'll just...
You're out. It's fine. Yeah.
Your name is out there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I put that down. But 2 of the reference requests I've got for where we're currently temping for 2 of their staff. I'm like, yeah, just come and ask me.
Yeah.
But I suppose they need to have it on writing, don't they?
Is the person leaving shortly asked you for one?
No.
Oh, I wonder if they're getting that off.
Well, don't ask me for that. I'm just there's an agency chef that I've worked with for a few weeks. No, I got those 2, and then Josh Rambowski was the other one.
Who's that?
He worked at the Scarlet.
Josh.
We'll beep that one out later. We don't need to bleep it out. I didn't say anything bad about it. He worked there, and then he did some temping for us down in St. Michael's.
What year were we at the Scarlet?
Late 2009, and I left in early 2012.
Oh, okay. I really struggle with the time frames when people ask me when I work somewhere. Like, I can't really remember.
You can't remember much, can you?
I just remember Brexit Day that I was at the place. That's one I don't have to bleep.
Brexit Day?
Yeah, because I didn't know how to... The customers were coming in the open kitchen.
Yeah.
And they come in the back door right past us.
Yeah.
And they were looking really teasy the day of Brexit was announced. Well, it was announced in early morning. I watched it and then watched the BBC squirming over the fact that they had to say it. So I was watching the customers coming through, and then of course, they had faces of thunder. So you instantly know how they voted. I just didn't know what to say to soften the blow. So you know what I'm like. I just panic, and then something comes out of my mouth, and it's probably the wrong thing. But I was like, "Oh, Happy Independence Day." Went down like a lead balloon.
I got shouted at by a German in Holland on the day that, because I voted, and then I drove from.
They raise some pulses when they shout.
I voted in Portlow in the morning, and I drove to Dover, got a ferry, went over to Holland, and went to the DEFCON festival, and then went out dancing, fell asleep, happy days, and then was having brekkie in the morning and chatting, and some German guy came over and he's like, "Do you know about the result?" I said, "I don't really care. I'm at a festival. It's not high on my priorities." And he said, "Oh, you're leaving the EU and whatever." And he started having a right old go at me about it. I was like, "Well, I'm sorry that this affects you and your life."
It's because they got to pick up the bill now.
Got that out. But so that I was chatting to so I've been diving today, as you know. I've told you about 17,000 times today. And
God.
The diving instructor today was, because the diving was in Falmouth, and I was saying about my lockdown, and I was like, I probably had one of the best lockdowns there was. I was like, I moved into the hotel I was working at. It was like, we had to drink all the stock from the bar because it was otherwise going to get thrown away. We had a gym, we had a sauna, we had a health club. We had all that we had to use. We worked as well, but it was pretty cushy.
Didn't you have a blow up inflatable boat in the swimming pool?
We did buy a boat as well. Yeah, we checked it out on the indoor pool
with oars.
Let's not talk about that. No, it had an outboard.
Oh, did it?
Yeah,
outboard on a boat in the main swimming pool of the hotel. Oh, that's great.
We'll bleep that out. But I was chatting to him, and he said about, because I said, I don't like to boast. I mean, I like to boast, obviously, but I don't like to boast about that. I said, I know lockdown was bad for lots of people, whatever. And then he was telling me about his lockdown experience, and he was like, he said, I was living in the back end of the Bolivian jungle. I was 17 years old. And he said there was like a local town, if you want to call it that. He said where we'd go like once every so often to go shopping, but it was rare. He said we got to this town, and I said, "Oh, there's this thing." He said we hadn't even heard of COVID. It wasn't a thing. Nobody knew anything about it. Went to pick up some supplies, bread and whatever. And they said, the whole world's like shutting down. And now he said like most of the flights back to the UK had gone. He said there was one more flight back to the UK, and they said it's in wherever the city is in 3 days' time. And he's like, well, there's no way of us getting there. He said, so I spent the next 2 and a bit years living in the jungle in Bolivia. I was like, well, that's a bit different.
That is very different.
He was like, yeah, 17 years old, trying to put the brave face on it and going, Mum, like, as we would.
I can't get home when I'm in a jungle.
I'm in the jungle. He said, you went to pick up some bread and whatever, and you left whoever else was over there, back in the jungle chilling out, and you come back and go, so the world's ending over there, and we can't leave the country or be anywhere. Let's just stay here and start a commune. They can make a film about him in a few years' time, I bet.
I wonder if that German is obviously finished lashing at British people for Brexit and is now lashing at Chinese people for COVID.
I expect so. At least they deserve it. They manufactured that.
China!
Brexit was a fair vote.
China!
His accent's doing well this week, isn't he?
China.
Canada are about to start a war with him. And
why does he? What's his issue with Canada? Is it because the previous Prime Minister is just a bit of a soy boy?
I think his main issue with Canada is the fact that he just wants to do a land grab. He wants to extend his. Canada and Greenland are all part of the US, and we just need to just clarify that, make them the 51st state. Although, if they do that, I think that Samuel Jackson should kick off and say, hold on, we've already done the 51st state. It was England.
Yeah.
That was Meatloaf's line in that film, wasn't it?
51st State, one of our favourite films of all time. Not date, not 51st dates, 51st State.
You've already said this on the podcast, on another episode.
I want to keep plugging it because no one really ever seems to know anything about it. It's such a great film.
It is, yeah. But, if they, maybe they'll have to do a 52nd state then if Canada becomes 51st state. He's basically just put the taxes and the tariffs up so high that Canada are like, well, we're not going to trade with you then, you can sort off. And he said, well, if you just become the 51st state, then there'll be no tariffs.
He wants that. Is he seriously want that country?
Yeah.
I love him. I absolutely love it. Well, I'm just going to have that country.
Gulf of Mexico's the Gulf of the US.
Oh, that's
Canada,
great.
That's the 51st state. Greenland.
So random.
Country.
He wants Greenland. What's Greenland?
We'll have half of Ukraine, thanks. Yeah. Shocking. Anyway, that was the start, which is about references. So if you're going to, even if your head chef's a knobhead, you've got to be nice to him, otherwise, or her. Otherwise, you might not get a decent reference.
Yeah, shake that ass, get that cash.
Exactly. Main course.
I can already feel the. Hang on, don't help me out.
I'm hanging.
What
was that word
shackles.
You earlier? The English-French word that made no sense?
I can feel the shackles on the back of my neck. Is that right? No. Hackles.
Hackles when someone gives someone abuse. Talking of which, saw Jimmy Carr the other day was getting an awful lot of trouble because he was taking the piss out of some woman who was deaf. Which I thought I should probably tell Scott about this, and I forgot. But he was at a comedy club doing a stand-up routine or whatever, and there was a woman in the front row who was deaf or had hearing aids. No, she had a hat on. She had a hat on that was covering her hearing aid because she was hard of hearing, but she was basically deaf.
What the hell was she there for? All he does is talk.
Well, then he said, he asked why she had the hat on or whatever, and then he said something along the lines of, what's the best thing about taking a piss out of deaf people? They can't eat you. And she's taken to social media and she's giving him absolute hell up going.
So she went looking for a problem.
I can't believe it. You know, there's jokes and that's not a joke. That's horrific. And I was like, so everything else that the guy's going to say on that show is going to be more offensive to the vast majority than that is. Because it's like, that's
the Madeleine McCann stuff is fine, but taking the mick out of me for being deaf, no. Yeah. She's gone there looking for a problem.
Yeah.
Oh, God, what a vacuous cow.
So I just thought I'd let you know about. Anyway, but the veganism is the main course.
Vegans. Now, when you say vegan,
yep,
with a capital V on there, I'm already getting pictures of green hair, septum piercings, and daddy issues. Yep,
I mean that's one group of the vegans. I mean they're stronger in the numbers now, aren't they? You know, I think the vegans, much like the gays, used to be a very specific group, whereas now
I don't
it's just
count,
fashionable now.
Now I know I do bring it back to gender, but I'm not going out to bash, but I don't consider men to be vegans. All right, it's just not possible. Those guys who claim to be vegans usually got long hair tied up in a bun. the holier than thou types. I know better than thou, liberal. Those types, I don't consider. They're just guys who don't know how to get laid. So I'll be what you are, and I'll shout louder than you, and then will you touch it? That kind of guy. So I don't consider them vegans. They're fakes. They're doing it to get laid. I just want to get that out there.
Right.
So well, okay. Am I onto anything? I mean, you're looking at me as if I was just. You're looking at me as if you've never met me. What the hell are you? It's
an interesting
not
true. No, I'm taking it in. I'm considering your option. I'm considering.
Have you ever met a macho guy that's a vegan? It's a bit like saying a macho guy from Canada. I mean, you just don't.
And he's not my favourite guy in the world, but Lewis Hamilton, who was a 7 times F1 world champion, is vegan.
Yeah, but he's a crowd pleasing type. You see the way he just reads his crap off. It's all PR. There's people behind him telling him what to do. And he does that soppy little, I just want to save the world. He's just missing a man bun, that guy. They just want to be loved, the celebrities. I'm not bashing how he performs. I mean, I struggle to reverse the van up the drive sometimes. So if he can go, 150 miles an hour, what's a fair play to him? Technical wise, phenomenal. It's just got that bastardization of personality that the celebrities seem to get, where somehow microphones chucked in front of you, huge paychecks and cufflinks seem to just change them into, I support the current thing. I am the nicest person ever. The Bob Geldofs, I just really want to cure the world of hunger, but just don't take my money. That kind of twat. That's the only. I'm going off on a rant here. I've got to calm it down.
Well, it's fine. So, but the point of the vegan here is what's been lost, I suppose, in this. So blokes can't be vegan.
No, absolutely not. They're doing that. They're on the world stage.
That's just a fad, okay?
Yeah, fad.
And what about female vegans then? Is that a fad? Or
there are the 3 types that the 3 integral characteristics of a vegan.
Right.
That, to be fair, is the stereotype. That is probably a minority. I don't know. Should I say it? Shall I say it? Maybe I don't say it. Fuck it. See what happens.
Yeah.
Like the gays used to be. Do you remember?
I just said that, and you've talked over me.
I didn't even hear you.
Well, I said you used to have a set group of people. But now it's just fashionable, so now everyone...
You didn't say gay people. You just said that.
You'll hear it when you listen back to it.
Oh, okay. Well,
because you talk to anybody that's over 30, mid-30s plus, and they're the old school... And I didn't even realise that was a thing, but the old school gays don't like the new school gays, because now it's just cool and fashionable, whereas before... you were persecuted.
I don't like the domestication of it. So the old school gay used to go out looking for, couldn't care less about a reaction, even would go over the top in campness just to get a reaction from obviously the handlebar moustache in the corner that doesn't like them, or probably secretly them. But that sort of thing. Now you've got the domesticated one, the slippers, the cardigan, and just the we don't like any credit. We don't want our names mentioned at all, except a rainbow flag just about around every corner. That kind of thing, and just love us and by force. Highly emotional, highly overreactive. Yeah, that type.
Which is the problem with the vegans.
Which is the problem with the vegans. Now they're becoming domesticated, so you can't easily pick them out other than the malnutrition look and, there's like a few more lines on the face. And that's when they're 15. That kind of thing, I get it. And the unwashed look. Shampoo seems to be...
Yeah, it does say tested on bunnies, though, doesn't it, usually, on the shampoo?
Oh, yeah. That's why the washing isn't happening.
Yeah. But
I'm going to get so bashed by vegan people I know.
But see, the thing is now with the vegan people, the vegans, I think personally that my view on eating meat is probably closer aligned with a vegan than it is with your average meat eater, which is a weird thing to say, but there's the fatty ones, and they're no interest in them. They don't. If you're doing something just to be cool, like my old thing about. If you're on a desert island and there was nobody else watching, there was no social media, would you do any of these things?
Yeah.
Probably not. You're only doing it for attention, so they're of little interest. But the people who are who actually stand up who believe in something or whatever, fine, crack on. If you're like, I don't believe in cruelty to animals, fine. Like, you've nearly crashed me into a hedge once because there was a rabbit in the road, and I was like, well, you don't mind killing the pair of us, but you don't want to hit this rabbit, like that thing. Fine. And even the vegetarians, I always say, like, if someone tells me they're a vegetarian, then I say, well, you're part-time. If you're a vegan, I've got more respect for a vegan than I have a vegetarian, because it's like, if you're vegetarian because you don't like animal cruelty or you don't like animals to suffer, then why are you not vegan? Because then if you go, well, yeah, but I do like a bit of butter, well, then it's like, okay, well, you don't mind
the dairy. You don't mind the dairy industry.
It's like the dairy industry. They go, oh, it's just milking a cow. There's far more than milking a cow. It's like, we don't have veal in this country, or very little of it. And anytime you try and put veal on a menu, even if it's like the best quality, high welfare, local, organic veal, nobody will order it because they go, oh, veal, terrible, don't have veal. So what do you think happens in the dairy industry when mummy cow gives birth and a boy comes out? They go, oh, look, it's a boy. Yeah. What do they do with it? Kill it and throw it in the corner. They don't even, they just slide it to one side of the barn and just leave it dead in the corner. And it's like, there's no point even bothering to feed that thing. It's not going to produce any milk.
Yeah.
It's a dairy cow. Kill it and throw it in the corner. So by drinking the milk, you're creating the dead cows. So like, well, veal's terrible. So you'd rather the cow gets killed at birth than the cow has a life, lives, and is then eaten as meat. Fine. Okay. If you'd rather that, fine. But then why do you eat pigs? Why do you eat lambs? Because they're all less than a year old as well. That's the same thing. And you don't care about that side of it. So vegetarians have got an issue with them. Like, I've got a bigger issue with the vegetarians because they've got no conviction. They're more the fatty ones to me. So, well, I'm vegetarian, but it's like, I still eat all the rest of it. Well, you just, probably the worst chickens in this country, and most of the worst chickens are the ones that are laying all the eggs in the battery farms. Like, they're the terrible chickens that are having a hard life. Yes, obviously there's crap chickens elsewhere as well, but like, how many eggs do we eat in this country? Billions of things. How many chickens are there stuffed in little barns, squatting out eggs all the time? And low welfare meat. That's my original point of this when I said that I'd rather side with a vegan than with a meat eater, is the fact that, like, the vegans, a lot of vegan views or a lot of meat views are probably over the top, but they're over the top because of the fact that our food standards are so crap. Like,
Yeah, I get what you're saying, because this goes back to the way you said before, I wish meat was more of a premium, seen as a premium thing you can only occasionally have, like it used to be 40s?
Well, before you had crap in it.
Yeah, before you had crap. So the chicken farms wouldn't be so smashed in together with, all of those bacteria.
They'd have a small holding.
Yeah,
I was thinking earlier on as I was driving the car, and you buy squash for your kid, like some orange squash, and it was like, doesn't contain any artificial this, and the other, and this doesn't contain this, and this doesn't contain that. And you go, when you buy a piece of meat, it doesn't say any of that on the label. It doesn't have to say any of that stuff. We go, what? Today they were talking on the news about the fact that over 6,000 people a day in the UK now are being given PIP, personal independence payments, because of their anxiety and depression. It's like, that's up from 2,000 pre-COVID. It's now over 6,000 people a day getting signed up for long-term mental health issues and having benefits. And they were saying that the benefit bill is going to be over £100 billion soon because of all this stuff. And it's like,
I've already had a big rant about that. I'm already getting cancelled.
But like, there's got to be some tie between the fact that all these random hormone injections, all the crap that gets put into all this cheap meat, that then we're eating all this cheap crap meat. And it's like, it doesn't say, like, on a packet of, I don't know, like I say, orange squash, like, it's Robinson's orange squash, great. Other squashes are available. It says no artificial colorings or preservatives or anything in that, but it's like, it doesn't say on the meat packaging this animal wasn't injected with all sorts of stuff. Oh, that methane thing we're talking about, like that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we've got this wonderful new thing that will produce like whatever it is, 30 or 40% less methane, which is good for global warming. It's like, well, what does that do to the cow? Like, if you stink, your ass is horrible most of the time. If I gave you an injection that meant that you gave off 30 or 40% less methane, well, what's it doing to the inside of your body? Like, what?
Yeah, what's going on?
Who's designed this chemical that they're injecting into you? And it's like, all these injections are crap. And all the third world countries, they don't have all the food intolerances and all the problems that we have. And it's all because we eat all the crap. And it's, mainly the meat.
I don't know if I should go down this route. I could get a bit lost, but hopefully you can bring me back.
I can pull you in, yeah.
When I asked Zenabu, who's from...
Not Sonosto, I'm guessing.
No. In Africa, not Zimbabwe.
Botswana.
No.
Zambia.
No.
Chad. Uganda.
Our
Somalia.
Mr. Adams' missus used to be from there.
Oh, is it? What? She was from Asia, wasn't she?
No. Was she?
I think so.
He used to go there all the time. Ethiopia.
Right.
I don't even know why that's important. I'll just say Africa. I'll cut that. No, I'll forget, but I'll try and cut it. Yeah, he's from there. And I said to him, because we were having, because he was at the time, he was learning about, he couldn't believe the waste in the bin from the food and all of that. I'm sure we're going to get to wastage in at some other point in an episode, but I'll just graze over it a second. So he was looking at the wastage and he was getting really upset. And sometimes he would start crying because we would just be, the offcuts or bits coming back from the plate. People have only eaten half of it, they throw it in the bin and all that. I didn't cook that, by the way, if they're only eating half of it. And they're throwing it in the bin. And he would just couldn't believe the wastage and all of that. And as you get talking more and more and you learn more about each culture, I asked him about the mental health stuff. And I said, where you're from out there, like you've seen areas out there, they've got absolutely sod all. I mean, bugger all.
Yeah.
I said, do lots of people kill themselves, or it's a struggle and all of that, or do they get depression? And he goes, it's virtually unheard of, or the suicide and all that. He goes, over here, I can't do the accent, but over here it's crazy. And he goes, I can't believe what you've got compared to what we have over there. And I'm wondering if I'm going to get... You had the tinfoil hat on last time. I'm getting the tinfoil hat. So
I didn't have a tinfoil hat.
You bloody... You were making a connection between COVID vaccines and people...
That's because it's real.
And people getting onion and garlic allergies.
Yeah, well...
And fair enough, because I was starting to agree with you on that. I'm even stretching my hands out because I'm calling you down before you lash out.
There's a Roland JX7900 in the middle of it.
It doesn't exist, but a Roland JX 3.
Ah, good.
Anyway, I've lost my train of thought now because you're talking about sin.
Mental health in Ethiopia, I believe.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, all the crap that goes into the McDonald's and all the pastes and all the Finders crispy pancakes mixed with horse, all of that stuff. I'm wondering, all of the adrenalines and steroids and everything to pump the animals with, what effect is that having on us?
A lot. That's it. That's what I'm saying.
Right, so that's not a tinfoil hat situation. I mean...
No, because it's only in the Western world that we eat all this processed crap that everyone's getting all these food allergies and stuff. And
it never used to be like this when I was young. When I was young, many, many decades ago, when I was young, it was unheard of.
But it's
not unheard of, but it was mostly not there.
Food is fuel, and it's like people eat food to enjoy food, but it's also a fuel for your body, isn't it? And if you eat crap, it's going to have an effect.
How is it not illegal? How have no one made any connections? Are the lobby groups that powerful?
I expect so, yeah. It's money, isn't it? Money rules the world. But if you're, when you we put venison on the menu or pheasant on the menu, and it's wild. It's not been bred. It's not been injected with anything. It's not been given anything.
It's just 7 miles that way where we got it.
Yeah, and it's that's wild animal out there. It's been shot, banging, lovely. But even fish nowadays, you can't. Well, you can't, but a lot of places now, even if you go into a supermarket and buy fish in a supermarket, like when I lived in France, or you go on holiday anywhere, the supermarkets have got fresh fish bloody everywhere. You go to it here, you've got nothing. You've got stuff in plastic packages, and everyone goes, sea bass. I like it. You'll never see any British sea bass or anything that's ever seen the sea. It comes from these farms. There's that, I can't remember, I think it was Netflix did a documentary about, Netflix did a documentary about it's called the fish conspiracy or something, but how bent and how just the crap they feed to all these fish. And it's even that, which people use, fish is healthy because they just come from the sea and they're not pest around with. Yeah, well, this farm stuff is just full of crap. If you get, so you can now serve raw fish without any, you don't need to probe it, you don't need to cook it, you can cook it to whatever temperature you want, it doesn't matter. And the HO will say, that's fine, you can serve fish raw. If it's a farmed fish, you can just serve it raw straight off the bat. If it's a fish that's come out of the sea, you do have to kill it first just to make sure it kills any parasites or worms that might live in the fish. But so therefore, if you're getting a farmed fish, then you can assume that you don't need to freeze it because it's already been given injections or chemicals or stuff in the fish to make sure that any parasites or worms would be killed, I don't know, before they even enter the fish or what. It's like, if you're taking that out, like, obviously it's better that your fish doesn't have any parasites or worms in it, lovely, but then it is a naturally occurring thing. Like, you do have worms within fish, that does happen. But in the sea it happens, so you have to freeze them to kill the worms, whereas the farm stuff you don't need to because it's already taken out of it. But there must be something, whatever's in that fish that's killed the worm must have a knock-on effect on the human.
Got to. I mean, I have never heard, and you do hear about the people get paid, I don't know, is it 200 quid, 500 quid, or 1,000, depending on how dangerous the ejections are. I think one experiment, one guy's head blew up, didn't it? And there was outrage about it, and other people were like fucking dying on the floor. And then one person who had the placebo was like, "Oh my god, I'm next!" You know, all for 800 quid. Oh god, I should have gone to the sperm bank. But they. How many of these hormones and stuff like that are going into these beasts, going into humans first? Right. If we just inject you first with it and see what effect it has on humans, I don't think any of that's happening. I don't think that's happening at all.
I think that, you know, as with anything that people trying to affect change, it's like some people who are vegan are probably not saying like, I absolutely don't want any of that, whatever. But it's like they're trying to push the point of like the general state of the meat industry or the dairy industry or whatever, or the fishing industry is just, it's too far gone. So then you have to, when something's gone that far and it's like problematic and everyone just accepts it, then you have to kind of move past it. Well, you get like Veganuary and everybody goes vegan for a month in January and stuff, and they just eat all the different stuff. But
I get where they're coming from.
You said earlier about your mate from Ethiopia with scraping food in the bin. Like, Toby, we used to work with, it was the first time I'd ever heard the term wasteitarian. I was like, oh, there's another phrase, right? Okay. So you've got a vegetarian, you've got a pescatarian. I mean, I remember in my college days, you had ovo, lacto, and all these different vegetarians, which were all just basically bullshit. But you had vegetarians who just eat veg. They eat animal byproducts, they eat veg, that's it. Then you got your pescatarians, now they eat veg, animal byproducts, and they eat the fish. Happy days. Then you've got vegans. Vegans don't eat any animal byproducts, whatever, etc. Then moving on from that, you had these flexitarians that came in. It's like, okay, well, what's a flexitarian? So that's somebody that, as a choice, generally eats more vegetables, eat more consciously, which I think I've mentioned that before. That's, to me, that's just a more sensible way of eating. Like, it makes more sense to be a flexitarian so that you eat less meat, but when you do eat meat, you eat higher quality meat. But then I heard about this wasteitarian. I was like, well, what's a wasteitarian? So the wasteitarian, apparently, is that if there's some meat and it's going to go to waste, then they would think, well, you know, that poor animal's already died. This meat has already been produced or whatever. Yeah. I need to eat some food. So rather than throw this chicken in the bin, I'll eat it, you know, because it has nutrient, it has stuff in it, it'll fill me up, etc. So if it's going to go in the bin, I'll eat it, but I won't go out of my way to purchase it and whatever. So if I'm just having it to have it as a
just so it doesn't get the animals die, just to go straight into a bin.
Yeah. So you're a wasteitarian means that basically you don't want to waste something. You'll eat it as a matter of respect for the dead animal, whatever.
I'd say my dad's like that as well. He can't stand waste, and neither can my stepmom. They cannot stand waste, and why would you? Because it's money going straight in the bin.
Yeah. Oh, stupid. And another thing that I just thought of whilst we're discussing the differences in these sort of things, the one thing that does annoy me with vegans, and it's probably the only thing that annoys me with vegans, because to be fair, in general, I'm with them. I think, you know, I can't do it. I enjoy eating meat. I enjoy eating good quality meat and good quality fish, but, you know, fair play to you, crack on. Honey, that's just an odd one.
Honey? Oh, because they can't make up their minds with it.
It's a really, like, it's almost, you ask the restaurant, they come in, this person's vegan, you eat it, fine, whatever. Then you ask the restaurant person to go back to the customer to ask about honey. And then that's a real 50-50 crowd divider. Because half of them think you're taking a piss and go, well, it's honey. Obviously, I don't mind eating honey. Why are you being pedantic? Yeah. The other half of them think, oh, I've never considered honey. And then maybe I'm a terrible person.
They get into a bickering war about it because...
You get in trouble. Yeah. You mention honey and you go, well, it's an animal byproduct. Do you eat honey or not? Because some vegans do, some vegans don't. Well, I don't know. Like, obviously, nobody is there holding this bee to ransom. It is free to fly around. It's making honey in a way because that's what bees do. I don't know enough about the beekeeping industry to know how that,
I want to be thick.
affects them. You are.
Yeah.
We went to the Rosen School for Young Offenders. We're already in that
I
camp.
want to be thick.
Yep.
Why do they make it?
Why do bees make honey?
Yeah.
To feed off.
So they make all the honey,
Yeah.
and then what, they just drink it after if they're left alone?
I don't know. I presume so.
Oh, you were really confident just about 5 seconds ago.
I don't
Looking at
know.
me as if all
As I
of
just
a
said,
sudden,
I'm
you
not a bee
don't know.
expert. I'm no expert on bees. I saw a post on social media today on Blue Sky, which we need to get on that.
Does that mean they die now if they don't eat it?
Anyway, that you shouldn't spray pesticides until you see the first blackberries of the season because it kills the bees.
Oh, right, okay.
Because at this time of year, if bees go to eat pollen from a flower, but you spray pesticides on all the weeds like dandelions or stuff, then the bees eat pesticides and they die.
If I go out for a walk with a backpack, I'll have a can of lynx, but I don't consider that to be a pesticide. I've never sprayed lynx.
Because when the bees die, we die, and then that's the end of the world.
Well, so they say.
Well, I don't know. I'm not out there killing bees.
I barely ever
Equally-
see any bees anyway, except ones that hit your bonnet. And, there doesn't seem to be many bees around. Olive gets really excited when she sees one bee in some purple plant she's bought. That
I saw loads the other day.
Did you?
Yeah, I went to Helligan.
Why don't they just farm about, 1 million bees and just set them out there? If they're so worried about
Because
it.
they'd probably soon die out because they'd all be in the same area and they'd only have a few things to eat.
Well, we've got Bradford, and we've
Set the bees on Bradford.
We've got Bradford, and we've got Enfield, and
Bees loose.
Walsop, or whatever it's called.
Walsop.
No, it's not Walsop. What's
Warsaw?
Warsaw. No, that's in Poland.
No, there's Warsaw in...
I was there.
Yeah.
Just chuck them up there. And Glasgow. Just set a load of bees up at just random areas that's not around here.
Pollution will probably kill them because they haven't got electric cars yet because they don't work.
Oh, really?
Unless you've got Lego tyres on that are made out of fish, and then you're okay.
Oh, well, then just go for the Lake District.
Fine. Good, we've sorted that out then. So,
Well, hang on a minute. If you've attacked the vegans, then I've got a...
I'm not attacking the vegans.
No, you had one issue. And I
got another issue with the vegans.
All right, well, give me a second. Because as soon as you did the opposite, I'll go with the opposite as well a little bit.
I've done the opposite, so you're doing the opposite. So you're doing carry on.
You just said something positive. You just said something negative, so I'm going to go positive. Oh, stop whinging. How many beers have you had?
Get on with it.
That's your third. You're already 3 times over my patience limit.
Right.
So, oh no, I've lost my train of thought. Can't you go in another room with a microphone? I can't look at you.
My point, because it's obviously better than yours anyway, is the meat replacement vegan stuff. Now that's an odd one because, and it's come a huge way in the last 20 years. Like, if you're vegan, a lot of vegans don't like veg. A lot of vegetarians don't like veg, and that annoys me because they're like, I'm vegetarian, fine. But then they're like, I just eat pasta and chips. So, eat some bloody vegetables. But meat alternatives are very good now. Like, there's a lot of the high-end meat alternatives your average Joe in the street wouldn't tell they're not eating meat. Like, we had them staff dinner a couple of years ago. And but there was probably about 20 of us sat down having staff dinner. And somehow we'd got some meatless meatballs in from somewhere. So I was like, we'll just have for staff dinner. So we just made up cooked some spaghetti, made a tomato sauce, chucked all these, I think they're moving mountains, meatballs into it. And then I was confident that they tasted like meat, whatever. And whatever I had in cash in my pocket, let's say it was 50 quid. I said, right, anybody in the room, if you can correctly tell me what meat is in the meatballs, here's the 50 quid. So anyone that can tell me what meat that is, 50 quid's here. Everyone can have a guess. And I was like, have a second guess if you want. Hey, we're all guessing. I was like, no. And they were like, it's this and that. No. And then when I told them there was no meat in it, they all called bullshit. And they're like, no, they have meat in them. So then they're
That's
vegetable.
the Moving Mountains ones, is it?
Yeah. I said, they're just vegetable protein, and they are good. And when McDonald's came out with their McPlant, I think it's called, a couple of years ago, I thought, oh, interesting, I'll go and try one of those because I think they use Beyond Burger, which is another brand of meatless meat stuff. I thought, oh, good, I'll go and try one. I'll get to the point in a minute. But the point was, I went and tried it. I'll have that fine. But what I didn't think about, which I should have done because I hate it, was that the vegan McPlant burger would have vegan cheese on it. Now, vegan meat alternatives, I could eat those. I wouldn't care less. But vegan cheese is disgusting.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. And I wanted to try the burger.
Does it taste like silicone?
And just the flavour of that, I was like,
Yellow silicone.
Ruined the whole thing. And then, it was probably 2 or 3 years ago now, whenever it first came out, this McPlant. And I thought, oh, God. And ever since, I thought one day I will go back to McDonald's and say, please can I have a McPlant, but with normal cheese on it or no cheese on it. But I've not had it since. But.
Is that where we're heading, though? Because they're clamping down on farmers. It's clear. I mean, what's going across Europe? I mean, it's happening in too many places at once to just be a freak, localized incident. That they obviously want rid of them.
Yep.
They want to get rid of intensive farming. Are we really going to end up, especially with this global warming crap that they keep banging on about, some other green scam? Are they going to go down the route of just our food is going to become that vegetable protein that is grown in labs?
Probably.
From, I don't know, some green gel that, what's the secret? It's a secret.
Well, you can get bug burgers, can't you? Like they do like ground up ants and cockroaches and stuff like that and make them into burgers.
I don't want a locust sandwich.
But they contain far more protein than beef. So actually, for what you consume, what you need about half, probably less, like 10% of the amount of grubs as you do to beef to have the same amount of nutritional value.
Yeah, but I can look at a fillet from a beef and think, that looks good. Even an oxtail, grudgingly, but a locust with its wings out, buzzing, is the most disgusting.
I saw something the other day, actually, which said...
You eat with your eyes.
Well, you won't eat those anymore because you'll just be fed it through a tube while you sit in a sweat box. And
they're going to do that, aren't they?
You'll be watching something on virtual reality.
When AI takes over, like you said.
Yeah, AI takes over.
No purpose for
watching virtual reality and they'll just have a intravenous drip, which just gives you a bit of dead bug. But there was a thing the other day somewhere that I saw that had a thing saying about cockroach milk. They said cockroach milk is 5 times as nutritious as cow's milk, and we should all be drinking cockroach milk.
There's a McDonald's around every corner. No one cares about nutrition.
True. But if you could get enough cockroaches and you could do it cheap enough, I don't know how you milk a cockroach.
You're going to get like tweezers on the udders.
No, but it was a thing. Apparently, it's more nutritious. In Belgium, they drink more horse milk than cow's milk, apparently.
I loved it. I loved it when they found out that Finder's crispy pancakes were made from horse meat, and they're just the people had redone the pictures of the horse rider in the championships on top of a Finder's box. Oh, it was just absolutely gold.
I don't know why people were surprised.
I don't know why. I don't know why they care.
You're surprised that stuff that you're getting that's just like cheap meat products. Like, you see how they're produced, they're just like the utter crap that's just smashed together and then like put in a load of chemicals to try and hold it together and make it into a glue type thing. And then it's a paste.
It is grim. Yeah. And then they bleach it and then colour it and everything else. That is something actually I wanted to get on before.
Some of it says it's fit for human consumption and some isn't. And they take it and they bleach it and then they add stuff to it and all of a sudden it's fit for human consumption again.
But I saw something with Mabel, a change. My dog, I saw changes in there when Olive went from the packaged brands, the biscuits and all that, into raw meat.
Yeah.
So we looked at the ingredients on some of these, brands of dog food.
Pedigree chum.
Yeah, stuff like that, and all the other ones that are advertised everywhere. Well, actually, when you look at the ingredients, there's no meat in them at all. It's derivatives, which Olive explained to me what the hell they were, but I can't repeat that now because I can't remember. But I probably zoned out halfway through the speech. She does rattle on a bit about it. Oh, God. A bit like me when I know a small piece of information, I've got to keep drowning it out just so I look intelligent. She'll boot me for that. But yeah, there's absolutely no, and it's just full of cereals and every chemical you can possibly think of. And Mabel was getting skin issues, dry bits coming off back leg issues and all that. And Oliver said, it's got to be the food. And I'm like, how could it be the food? I mean, it's obviously just genetic. But no, we changed over to raw meat, and within a few weeks, the skin issue was gone. She's been fitter and healthier than ever. She's been back to the vet. Every time we get raw food from the pet shop down there, that guy who looks like your general builder who doesn't believe in any crap, who's just waiting for his next pint. Yep. He said, my dog's been on this and I haven't been to the vet in about 7 years with raw food. It costs a bit more and it comes in frozen, but there's not a single shred of crap in there or filler or cereals or anything else. It is just meat.
Yeah. But that's it's fuel, isn't it? It's like saying, you put decent quality fuel into your car, it's going to drive better than if you put crap in it. Like you can run old diesel, like you can make biodiesel out of old used chip oil or whatever. But like if you got a car that's 20 years or older, for example, a diesel engine, you can just take dirty fryer oil from a kitchen, put it through a chinois or a very fine sieve, just chuck it straight in your tank and just fire it up and off it goes. But it's not going to run as well as it would if you went and put Shell Optimax VMAX diesel in it, but it costs you bugger all because it's just chip oil from the fryer, and it's the same thing. Any fuel, like athletes, they eat the right thing, they count their calories, whatever. They have a very strict regime as to what they put in their body because they can't run the risk of being unwell or not having the right energy or whatever they need. Yeah. And then that. You see that supersize me they did in America, the people that just eat McDonald's all day, every day. It's like, that stuff will kill you. You're just eating every part of that meal. It's just got crap in it. It's got chemicals. It's got...
And your system is working hard to digest it, but it's not getting anything from it.
No, there's no nutrient value in it, or very little. And then it's like, the milkshakes are made... They used to have pork fat in them, didn't they? And they had to change... the ice cream milkshakes, or whatever it was, they used to have pork fat in them, and they had to change the recipe for certain parts of the world for halal purposes and stuff. And you're like, well, why is
pork fat in a milkshake? Yeah, so they're trying to dump.
It's a waste product. It's like, we need to get rid of this. Waste. Where can we get rid of it? Well, let's just stick it in here and in that. And
I don't want to go down this route, but fluoride. If you look at the history of it, it's given as a healthy, good for your teeth thing. When you look at the studies of how that was done, it's complete utter bollocks. It was an old waste product from the old manufacturing days, like 100 years ago. They couldn't get rid of it. They were chucking it in the rivers and people were getting sick. So then they were putting it in products saying it was good for your teeth and judging it by area, by measuring people's teeth where they did it and where they didn't.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's actually no evidence of it, but they still chuck it in loads of stuff. But it's poisonous, that stuff. And that's not conspiracy stuff. You want to take a teaspoon of fluoride, it'll kill you. But yeah.
It's good for you, though.
It's good for you, apparently. Yeah. We'll look into... Let's do a conspiracy channel one day. Start as main course dessert, side project, and we'll just research the hell out of this shit and see how wrong we were.
We'll never research any of it. We'll never have the time.
No, it couldn't be us. ChatGPT.
Yeah. But that point, the vegan point there, is where, like, I understand that people do it and they stand by it and it's great and whatever, but it's like, I think... Something my auntie said to me years ago, we were discussing vegans, and she was like, I don't really understand it. But it was like, they all come to Cornwall and want to see the beautiful countryside and stuff. And it's like, well, who do you think looks after all the beautiful? It's all the farmers. Like, if you get rid of all that,
it all overgrows.
You're not going to see all the beautiful cows in the field, because guess what? If there's no market to have the cows, no one's keeping cows. You're not having them as pets. Like, you're not having herds of cows.
Everything will overgrow.
All the spring lambs that are jumping around. No one's going to have the spring lamb. If they can't sell the lamb, then they're not going to have the lambs, are they?
And who's going to maintain the hedgerows?
So nobody cares then. It's like, if you haven't got the lambs to have them bounce around, like, I understand the fact that before we had humans and before we started eating all the animals, that these animals lived, and I get that, that's fine. But if you take away their purpose from the food chain, when you got Labour saying they're going to build 1 million houses in the next few years, then all those green sites that have currently got all the spring lamb stuff on, well, the farmers won't care. They're saying now they're going to put through these forced purchase orders anyway, so they'll say to the farmers, you have to sell us your land, get rid of all the nice little lamb stuff, and then...
Which one of you voted Labour?
You've saved... I don't know, you've helped the animals in as much, but then... I suppose like our own mortality, our own life, if you're an animal and you're born, if you're reared well, you've got a decent life, like you've eaten decent feed, like you've not been just kept in a cage and beaten, or, like the Argentinian beef and stuff you get, like, how many thousands of cows they load on these boats in Argentina, like these, I don't know if you've ever seen a documentary, but they load like thousands and thousands of cows onto these barges, and then they like slowly chug them across from Argentina to Europe, and like they got all these vets on there, diseases rife. It's all these cows are dying, and they're all full of, it's horrific. And then they get to Europe somewhere, and then the dead ones are thrown overboard for the piranhas to eat, whatever. And you get this meat, you go, what is the state of this? It's terrible. Yeah, that's your problem, is that meat industry there. Whereas and then we look at it like it's a luxury. Oh, an Argentinian steakhouse. Okay, so that's an endorsement of quality then, even though it's going to be crap. But, like a small holding in Cornwall that's got some cows that look after their cows, and like that is their livelihood. So therefore they look after them, they respect them, whatever. And they give them a good life because they're not horrible people. They're not there going, I just need to make money out of these cows. They're just there because that's their way of life. And they have a cow or a few cows, whatever. Then those cows have a life and they have a nice life. Like people who move down to Cornwall because they want to have a nice life in Cornwall, live near the sea and wander around the nice green fields, which is what the cows are doing. Until they're killed, obviously. But then up until that point, they've had a nice life. Do you know what I mean? And then if you got to a point in life where you went, I've had my time now, and then someone just gave you a bolt in the head and then that was it, job done. You take that over becoming old and frail and breaking your leg and falling over and all that crap, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't want to pay in it back.
No. So,
All right. I'm not sure what the end result of that. Are we pro or anti-vegan?
I'm all for it. I have no issue whatsoever with the vegans. And do you remember back along when we were at Busters and Truro that what was it called, Oliver's in Falmouth, which I don't think is there anymore, but the restaurant Oliver's, he banned vegans. He said, all piss off, you're not coming there anymore. He banned them all. And we saw a massive, massive rise in vegans coming to us in the restaurant. It was like, you can charge them as much money. You can, the cost of the ingredients is less because you haven't got the protein. You haven't got such high wastage. And the vegan food, it's more exciting in a way because like the seasons, all right, yes, you got the game season and the fish season changes a bit, but like vegetable season is where it's exciting. Like I've been driving the girls to school the last week or two and it's like, look at that wild garlic. I need to get out and go picking some. Like, and then when asparagus season starts and then when you start to see British strawberries and stuff, and like, it's interesting. There's something new rather than just being, like, obviously we're so conditioned that it's just the crap in Tesco's.
Obviously wild garlic makes everything taste great.
Exactly. And it's like abundant and it's free and it's there and there's no food miles or any of that stuff. It's just good. And so I'm with the vegans. I personally will not ever be one. I can't see because I like my meat too much. But I like to throw out the random statistics. Like if someone's a vegan, then you say to them, yeah, you know that no vegan has ever managed to reach the summit of Everest. Complete crap. I've used it a few times though. It really winds people. Oh, well, there must be a reason for that. Well, yeah, it's because you're not actually strong enough to get to the top of Everest if you're a vegan. Well, that's from, But no, genuinely, like I think, crack on if you want to be vegan. As long as you don't ram it in our face. Our wedding, you may remember, I say ours, me and you didn't get married, but mine and Alice's wedding, we had a reasonable number of vegans come to our wedding, so I said to Alice, we'll just put them on one table. We'll just have a table of vegans, which she claimed was a bit 1945 Germany, but I was like, let's get them all on one table, put the vegans together, happy days. But
I don't know, I'd have to read a couple of books and find out what they were fed at Auschwitz-Birkenau, whether the vegans fed better.
I expect so.
Yeah.
It was healthy. So I don't mind the vegans, Elaine, personally. Scott, more so. But then Scott will have pop at anyone, you know that.
Oh, I love a good argument.
Especially if it's because of their daddy issues.
I don't have daddy issues. Oh, their daddy issues.
Their daddy issues, yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, that's just easy to wind up.
Right.
Dessert. And we'll have to make this a quick, short one because we've been going for rambling.
Don't worry about that. It is fairly, well, it's very short actually, in as much as, and it's the sweeter thing of the nice thing of desserts, which is a rare one for me, but I was chatting to a mate the other day and saying, I was listening to your podcast, and I quizzed them because you know what I'm like. I was like, oh yeah, you listen, do you?
Yeah.
What did you like?
Yeah.
What did you hear? Rat off a few bits and pieces and then said about the story about the old binman. And I thought, you know what, that's probably the third or the fourth person I spoke to who said it must tug on the heartstrings. I don't know. People were saying about the whole when I took Col on. He was a binman and this and the other. And we were chatting. I said, he's genuinely like super talented, all the rest of it, whatever he does. And then I was showing them Cole's pictures on Instagram. And he was like, mate, he said, you should share that guy's stuff on your podcast to your listeners to be like the guy that I mentioned, the women. He said, because even if only the four of us who've said to you about that's a cool story, look at it. But like other people who you've worked with that would have worked with him years ago, since whatever, check out his stuff. And I was like, oh, that's quite a good idea, because then you can actually see and appreciate and like or comment or whatever people do on social media about his stuff. Because he did a dish the other day, and it was dashi cured kingfish with raw pink shrimps, avocados, squid ink, black radish, and kohlrabi. I was like, but he has the day for just playing, and like, I'll show you that. It's like,
yeah, that's cool.
It's very cool. It's proper sexy food. And so I think for today's dessert, it should literally be just me giving you lot this guy's social media, so you can go and check it out and see there's someone who started out under my watchful eye.
Oh.
Started out as a binman, joined into a kitchen, and showed a lot of passion and tried hard and worked hard at it. Has done amazingly well for himself and is banging out some incredible food. So my dear friend Cole, hi Cole, hope you're well
Cole,
over there up the mountain. Not that he probably ever listens to our show. He'll probably think, why I've suddenly got people looking at my Instagram, whatever. But check him out. Go on Instagram. Colin Makangu. I don't know how I pronounce his surname because his father was from Zambia. So I'm not entirely sure the pronunciation.
Well, read it.
I believe it's Makangu, but I think it was Makang. I think the U was silent maybe. Anyway, it's Colin with a K. So Kolin. That's Colin with a K.
And that's N for Norman.
Right.
Well,
Kilo,
like
Oscar, Lima, Indigo, Norman. What's M? Mother? Is M mother?
Who cares? Just pick one, begin with
Colin
M.
Makangu. Mother, Africa, Kilo, Africa. Alpha, Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda. So that's Colin Makangu, KOLINMAKANGU. Go check out his Instagram, look at his tasty food, give him some love and say, Daz and Scott say hi.
And we'll leave a link on the page.
Will we?
On the Facebook page to his Instagram.
I'll do that.
That's a little bit easier.
That's a lot easier.
You going through that stupid...
I wasn't at any point recording any of this, really. We might as well just said check out the link. I'll send a link. Check out his... I mean, he's on Facebook as well, so we can just do it for that.
Yeah, it's got some really, really interesting stuff. So, yeah, good on him, man.
Yeah. So hope he's doing well, and much love to everybody. I'll stop rambling. The vegans can live another day. If you want a reference from me, at least hit me up. Some of you are polite and you go, hey, mate, I'll put you down for a reference. You might get a call. Other ones, you just...
Even if you've never met Darren, if you would like a reference... Just message in.
Yep.
Letters for CheckON@hotmail.com, or just go. In fact, sod off the email because nobody can be bothered. Just go straight to our Facebook page. We'll start engaging with that a lot more. At what is the? How do you get to the Facebook page?
No. Go on Facebook and look for CheckON.
Yeah, CheckON.
If you want a reference, go on darrenmilgate.com and send them my way.
Darren Milgate, that's with 2 L's. darrenmilgate.com, and then just ask him for a reference.
Sponsored by Rad and SMS.
Yeah, don't forget to don't forget in your message what it is you need a reference for. You know, what career. A chef, a KP, a Sparky, a carpenter, an airline pilot, whatever you may need a reference for, Darren will be there.
I'm a nice guy.
Nice guys. All right, well, that's
it. That's episode 11, season 1. And it's good night from me.
Yeah, take care.
Cheers.